debt is one of the most stressful things when it comes to your finances. And despite this whole good debt versus bad debt narrative, at the end of the day, debt is still debt and you still owe money. And that thought and that idea of having debt and having to pay large sums of money back is a looming thought in your head, and it is something that can hinder your personal and your financial goals. And I know this all too well. In fact, the reason that I started this platform to help mamas become financially free stemmed from my own journey of paying off debt. Now, thankfully, I was able to pay off debt fast using the strategies that I'm going to share in this video. I paid off over $78,000 in less than 3 years, and my husband and I paid off our mortgage in less than 4 years. So it is possible to pay off debt fast, whatever fast is for you. Hey guys, I'm Fo from MamaAndMoney.com, where I teach you how to make and manage money to become financially free. I think one of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to debt is one, that you actually have to have debt, but also that you have to have debt your whole life, or that it's going to take a long time to pay it off. And that's simply not true. I just shared how I was able to pay off debt quickly. It is possible to pay off debt fast. However, the first step is actually deciding that you're going to pay off debt and then believing that it's actually possible. You have to get rid of these narratives that have been fed to you regarding debt and believe that you could actually do this. But beyond belief, you actually need a strategy, and that's where these next steps come in. So the first step is to calculate how much you actually owe. Oftentimes, we may be paying and making payments on debt, but not fully aware of the total debt amount that we owe. So if you are paying off your debt, simply go into your accounts and calculate the balance, including how much interest is owed on all of your debt. Now, if you haven't been paying off your debt, or you're not sure if you owe more, you actually want to go to your free credit report to see if you have any open accounts where you have an outstanding balance. Now, seeing this number can be overwhelming. It was certainly overwhelming for me when I realized that I owed over $78,000. However, it is the first step for you to create a strategy and a plan to pay it off quickly. Now that you know exactly how much you owe in debt, the next step is to determine which debt payoff method you're going to use. Now, I'll go over some high-level methods here. However, as always, you can check the link in the description of this video to get more details. Now, to be completely honest, determining what debt payoff strategy you're going to use will dictate how fast you're able to pay off your debt. Now, each of these strategies has their pros and cons, which I discuss in the blog post, but I just want to share a few. So the first one is the debt snowball method. And this is actually the method that my husband and I used as we were paying off our debt. Now, in this debt payoff strategy, you're looking at your smallest debt and paying that off first to the largest. So once the smallest debt is paid off, you use whatever money you were using for that payment to apply to the next largest debt, so on and so forth until all debts are paid off. Now, the benefit of this strategy is that you're able to get quick wins, which builds your momentum to continue paying off debt quickly. The next debt payoff strategy that you can leverage is the debt avalanche method. Now, in this method, you're actually paying off your highest interest debt first and then going down to the lowest. The idea here is to actually save money on interest, but again, it may not necessarily be the fastest route to paying off your debt. Now, as always, you have the option of debt consolidation. This is where you're bundling all of your debt into one loan and just making one payment. Now, this may make it simpler and more streamlined as you pay off debt. But again, if you know that you have a large amount of debt that you're paying off, it can be daunting to know that you're going to continue to be paying off this large amount of money and not necessarily getting a quick win. In the same way, you can do a balance transfer. So if you have credit card debt, you can transfer your balance to a lower interest credit card so that you're saving money on interest. Again, this is a great way to save money, but not necessarily a way to quickly pay off debt. So ultimately, there are different ways that you can pay off debt. The goal here is for you to decide which method is going to work best for you and your financial situation. So before I go into the next step, comment below and let me know what debt payoff method you're going to be using. Now, once you've decided on that method, the next thing that you need to do is actually create a budget. Now, I've got plenty of content on how to create a budget, but the purpose of creating a budget here is to align your budget with your debt payoff goals. So now that you have decided to use whatever debt payoff method that you're going to use, you want to include debt payoff as a line in your budget. So this means adding it as one of the expenses that you have every month that you are using your income to pay off debt. Now, a huge part in paying off debt quickly is increasing your income. Now, obviously, if you had the money sitting around in the bank, you probably wouldn't be in debt to begin with, or you probably would have paid off the debt already. So that's not the case for most people. At least it wasn't the case for me. So if you want to pay off your debt fast, you have to find a way to increase your income so that you have more money to throw towards paying it off. And that way you can pay it off a lot faster than if you just relied on the standard payment that you were making and the income that you're making now. So there are so many ways that you can quickly increase your income to pay off debt. In fact, I did a whole video about it, but I'll share some things that you can do here. So you can pause your retirement to increase your income for a short amount of time to help you pay off that debt quickly. You can adjust your tax withholding. You can pick up a side hustle. You can ask for a raise. There are so many things that you can do. One thing that I did was actually sell items in my house. So I had plenty of clothes with tags on it that I wasn't using. So I decided to sell those to make some money to pay off debt. So there are so many ways that you can increase your income. Figure out a way that's going to work for you. Leverage that to increase your income so that you can pay off your debt faster. Now, in combination with increasing your income, you also want to reduce your expenses. The goal here is to get as much free cash as possible to put towards your debt. So some things to consider is getting rid of unused subscriptions. Perhaps it's dining out less. Perhaps it's cutting back on buying name brand items like your groceries or even clothes. Use your budget to determine exactly what you can do to reduce your expenses so that you can free up cash to put towards your debt. Now, I'll be honest with you. I prefer the method of increasing your income more than reducing your expenses. Like, you want to be frugal, you want to cut out unnecessary spending, but I would definitely say put a lot of your energy on increasing your income because that's going to have the biggest overall impact, long-term and short-term. Now, this should go without saying, but as you are doing all of these things to pay off your debt quickly, the last thing that you want to do is get into more debt. So if you're paying off debt, don't continue charging things on a credit card or don't continue taking out more loans. It completely defeats the purpose of you trying to pay off your debt fast. So find ways to begin paying things cash. So save up. This would mean that you would probably start a sinking fund, which means you're saving money towards future expenses. This could mean that you use the cash envelope method, all of which I share in the blog post for this video. So you want to check that out to get some ideas on how you can manage your money such that you aren't relying on debt anymore. Now, I will say the most important step of all of these is actually celebrating your wins along the way. Look, paying off debt is a journey, and sometimes it may take longer than you expected it to, and it requires you to have sacrifice. So in that, you want to celebrate your wins along the way. If you made a significant payment on your debt, celebrate that. If you paid off a debt, celebrate that as you continue to pay off more debt. You have to cherish those wins and acknowledge them so that you have the momentum and you have the drive and inspiration to keep going. Now, this celebration doesn't have to be anything extravagant. It could be going to buy yourself a cupcake. It could be something small. It could be buying yourself a token, acknowledging that you've made this milestone in your financial journey. Whatever that is for you, make it a part of your debt payoff journey and celebrate your wins. So I'll say this, everyone's journey to paying off debt is different. I had a lot of debt that I was able to pay off quickly. You may take a little bit longer. The thing is, don't compare your journey to anyone else. Come up with your plan, stick to your plan, celebrate your wins, and you will be able to pay off your debt quickly. So hopefully you found this video helpful and encouraging. If you did, do me a favor and share it with someone else who could use it as well. All right, until next time, I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye.